What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. Tom will not be with us again today. We've been having some technical difficulties, but Tom will be back next week. I promise you guys that. But we do have a really good video today. The market went absolutely crazy today. Apple is actually showing some signs of a really strong reversal to the downside. AMD closed down 8% today. Baidu was down 8%. Alibaba was down around 7% today. So it was a really wild day in the markets. Going back to the heat map, we can see Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, JP Morgan, AMD, Amazon, everything was basically red today. And tomorrow is only going to get crazier because there's so many stocks at critical turning points. You know, it's very rare to see the movement that Apple has had over the past couple of weeks, and it's at like a crucial turning point right now, and Apple is not the only one. So there are a lot of good opportunities out there right now, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, I definitely do want to talk about AMD stock. This one got destroyed today. It's down over 8%. And if we go to the CNBC article related to AMD, we can see AMD lost basically 8% after Barclays downgraded AMD to equal weight and lowered its price target from $148 down to $115. So that's a pretty significant downgrade. And it's just tough, you know. Any sort of news like that normally has a bad influence on the stock for the short term. But yeah, there was a ton of selling pressure with AMD today. Even if we look at some other stocks that normally move with AMD, like Nvidia fell by 1.5% today, but it definitely was not as bad as AMD's movement. So overall, AMD is kind of in free fall right now. Short term, anything can happen, but I definitely am expecting this one to slide off over the next couple weeks. We saw increased volume today. We are continuously making lower highs. We are kind of just stagnant at the support level right around $100 too. So check this out, guys. If I go to the drawing tools and I connect these highs over like the past couple of months, we can see that we've been continuously making lower highs, while at the same time, if I draw the support level, it's been staying the same. So it's like, it's not like we're seeing like a wedge or anything like that. It's just like support's the same, and then the highs keep getting lower and lower and lower. Normally, this is a pretty bearish signal. So just keep AMD on your radar. It's going crazy right now, and there are definitely a lot of eyes on it, and the momentum is really strong to the downside. Looking across some other stocks or just the market overall, like the S&P 500, even the SPY took a pretty big hit today, and it sold off in a very dramatic way towards the end of the day. And we could see that this happened at a pretty interesting time, in the sense that the PCE data came out today, which is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, and this just exploded, which is not a good thing. So we can see the PCE inflation rate rose by 5.4% in March. This is the highest increase since 1983. That's a lot, and that's not a good thing. And check this out. This rise in inflation, this is excluding food and energy prices. So it's like we're seeing horrible inflation data continuously come out, and it's just like it's not good. Like, rising inflation, when it gets out of control, is a really, really bad thing. So that leads me to think, all right, I wonder what the Fed is going to do at the next FOMC meeting, because generally when inflation gets too high, the Fed say, all right, we got to calm this down a little bit. We have to rise rates so we don't see hyperinflation. So I went to the Fed rate calculator. So let me pull it up right here. We can see that the Fed rate hike calculator is pricing in almost a 69% chance of a 75 basis point rate hike in the next Fed or the next FOMC meeting, which is on May 4th. So this is pretty interesting. You know, like the last FOMC meeting, they hiked rates by 25 basis points, and now we're expecting a much more significant rate hike, which isn't a bad thing. You know, like it's not a bad thing. It's just interesting because we are seeing inflation continue to get really bad. But hopefully it slows down a little bit, and especially with the Feds raising rates, that can definitely settle things. Because it's all sunshine and rainbows when the market goes up for 2 years straight, when the Fed's printing money after, the pandemic. But you can't just print money forever and expect no consequences to come from that. So we can see, like, over the past 2 years, it has been nothing but a straight uptrend. Literally, looking at the SPY went from 243 up to 478 over the course of 2 years. That is insane. We were talking about the S&P 500. It's not like we're talking about one specific stock. Like, we were talking about the S&P 500. Movement like that is insane, especially after a global pandemic. And part of the reason we saw such a large increase in stock prices is because the Fed was just printing money nonstop. So it looks like, we are going to see rising interest rates in the future, which is not a bad thing. A lot of times the markets do rise off of rising interest rates. So keep that in mind. Another important thing I want to talk about is what we have going on with crude oil. So if we go to crude oil futures, obviously the prices have been rising quite a bit lately for multiple factors. Of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine does not help. But we can see that crude oil did fall quite a bit over the past day. And basically news came out that the Biden administration is going to release 1 million barrels of oil per day from our reserves to help cut gas prices. So that's pretty significant. It's definitely an important catalyst to keep in mind. It's important. So looking at this news, check out stocks like ExxonMobil, OXY, and maybe Chevron. We can see that these stocks, for the most part, did fall today, but it wasn't anything too crazy. What's interesting is that Warren Buffett has been continuously plowing billions of dollars into OXY stock, and it has been performing pretty well. But what's also pretty interesting is that another pretty famous billionaire, Carl Icahn, also sold his Oxy stock. So it's interesting because we have like one I guess you could say market leader like Carl Icahn selling Oxy stock, and then on the other hand we have Warren Buffett buying it. So it's interesting, and Warren Buffett is definitely buying at least a short-term high. But hey, I doubt Warren Buffett's looking to swing trade OXY or anything like that. It's obviously a longer-term play. But I definitely wanted to cover that news with the oil reserves because that's pretty big. 1 million barrels a day that's a lot. That's a lot for sure. But overall, looking at the market, we are still seeing a lot of these overbought stocks continue to kind of shift over. Like we talked about Apple a lot earlier in the week. Apple had 11 green days in a row. And that was the longest consecutive winning streak in nearly 20 years. And I've been saying since last week, hey guys, watch out. Apple is probably going to turn around. It's probably not worth the risk. Like, hey, anything can happen tomorrow. It can go up. Apple can have 50 consecutive green days in a row. But is it worth the risk trading that type of move? No, it's not. So we are seeing Apple and other tech stocks start to turn over. And that's one reason why I think there will be a lot of opportunity tomorrow and even on Monday and Tuesday, because we're at this turning point right now where there'll be like a lot of potential to day trade these stocks like Apple or AMD or Tesla or even the SPY intraday, because normally they move in pretty big and dramatic ways during these reversal points. So keep that in mind. I mean, look at the SPY today. It fell by 1.5%. That's a pretty big move. And definitely keep your eye on like a bunch of stocks around the close of tomorrow. Basically, what we saw today is the SPY it was bad. It was a bad close. And a lot of times when we were at these reversal points, like we are with Apple, SPY, and other stocks, especially closing, like around closing time, there's normally a lot of increased volatility, especially on a Friday too. So definitely watch a lot of stocks around close tomorrow. It should get pretty interesting. So definitely keep that in mind. And now I want to get into our momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first momentum play, we have SPCE to the downside. I'm watching $9.75 on SPCE for tomorrow. Next one, we have Roblox. I'm watching $46 on Roblox for tomorrow. And then we have Facebook I'm watching $221 on Facebook for tomorrow. So basically, if these stocks break below the levels I listed, I'm looking at them for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels I listed. But I also want to shout out our member of the day, which is Big Bad John. Thank you so much, Big Bad John. Thanks for being a great member of the Discord. Thank you so much for all of your constant support. You've been with us for a while. So Tom and I definitely appreciate you. And then guys, I just want to wrap up by saying, be prepared for the volatility tomorrow. Like I said a couple times already, a lot of stocks are at these reversal points, in Friday will be a big day considering it is a Friday, and then especially around close, it's going to be volatile. We can just see the movement by looking at Apple today. It was pretty rough, like we see just like spurts of volatility. So like we could see Apple right at open, tanked down, and it did nothing all day long, and it just tanked down right at close. That's kind of what I'm expecting with a lot of these stocks for tomorrow, but especially watch close. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Again, we're sorry for these technical difficulties. This should all be sorted out for Monday's video. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider joining the Stocked Up Discord. There's a bunch of great people in here, and it's free. The link for it will be in the description down below. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching.